Welcome back, all you Fabricans and Fleshbags, to the super, not funny show, Supercast. The Supercast, where we talk about all things superhero in our pop culture media, and that's TV shows, movies, video games. We talk about news, do some speculation, all that good nerdy stuff. I am Mode Pupe, your resident fabricant and comic shredder on all things pop culture, joined by the anime expert, video game designer, and lover of all things superhero, my good friend Ladi. Ladi, what's going on, man?
Nothing much, man. Just got done going on a walk. After this, I'm going to install the new monitor I bought on Black Friday. So
Nice. Speaking of, I spent a ton. I bought some new computer components. Hopefully, will come in next week to get my computer up and ready for Street Fighter. Um, I yes, the money's flowing. It makes my wallet hurt. Hopefully, it'll be worth it all. And Black Friday, I got Tekken, which I'm terrible at. And just I don't know about you. I did. I'm sure you were busy. I was busy just watching a ton of stuff. So man, it's been a good holiday week. But we had the Guardians holiday special came out, and just generally speaking, things are going well for comic book stuff as we near the end of the year, which is why we're gonna round up. We're gonna do a roundup over the next few weeks of different comic book things. But this week we're going to talk about ranking all of the MCU's Phase 4 TV shows and specials, everything that came exclusively to Disney Plus. That's going to be our main topic this week. But before then, Lottie, as always, we talk about the news, things that have happened in superhero media. And so this week we're gonna talk about today being Chadwick Boseman's would have been his 46th birthday. So we'll talk about Chad real quick. What Marvel can't use Namor as much as they'd like to. Why is that? Wakanda Forever's box office keeps growing. Where are they at now, and where do we think they're likely end up? The little cool thing I saw on social media, a fan visualization for a Black Panther prequel. So we're going to take a look at those images and talk about that. Some DC stuff. James Gunn confirms what DC Studios is going to be doing in terms of its multimedia. And James Gunn responds to a trash take about the Guardians of the Galaxy holiday special. We'll talk about that. So that's all of our news, and plus, again, ranking Phase 4 TV shows and specials. So, Lottie, y'all ready?
yeah, I'm ready.
All right, let's do this. So today, I didn't know this, but on social media they were saying today would have been Chadwick Boseman's 46th birthday. Of course, we know he passed away a few years ago from stage 4 cancer. Very unexpectedly. I remember we talked about, you and I talked about it, and it just kind of came out of nowhere. Even though people had sort of seen signs of it in the months leading up to his death, and obviously, this was a huge loss for not just for comic book fans, for Marvel fans, for the Black community, for actors. I mean, just all around. Seemed like a good guy, and definitely he was, a role model, and a lot of kids really looked up to him as T'Challa. So I thought we'd first of all just mention that was the case, and just briefly talk about his loss and what it kind of meant to Marvel fans, for us comic book fans. So Lottie, he would have been 46. He was young. I mean, I'm an old man, but I mean he's a few years older than me. So I'm just surprised just at how young he was when he passed.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, man. A lot of us, we go into life thinking that the people that we care about will be here forever. As long as we think or this they'll be here, and unfortunately, it's not the way the world works. Some people will die young. Some people die very young. Some people die before they even reach their somewhat potential. Some people die, and it just makes you, realize and just appreciate things more in life. That just enjoy what you have. Don't try to think that certain things in life you should be doing when you shouldn't be. Just enjoy where you are. Just enjoy where you are and have fun with what's out here. And Chadwick had fun, and I really appreciate what he did for comic book community, playing such a good Black Panther. Where I went and rewatched the original Black Panther because it's been a while since I've watched it. The last time I watched that movie was almost 4 years ago. So I went and rewatched it, and I was like, "Damn, man, I forgot how good he was as T'Challa." Jeez,
Hmm.
like it's something that's very misstated that some people forgot how good he was as T'Challa. So
Yeah. And
yeah,
I think it's interesting because we keep talking about this recast T'Challa thing, and I'm like, man, he is T'Challa. And I hate to say it like that because anybody can be recast, any role can be redone, and one day in the future, maybe 10, 15 years from now, they'll reboot the MCU and they'll bring another person in to do it. But I mean, he was T'Challa, so I mean, his loss was so huge, and because I remember not just going to see Black Panther, but seeing all of the people. I don't know when you went to see Black Panther, but just looking around at everyone who was there, and realizing a bunch of these people, I don't. How can I swear they probably haven't really gone to a Marvel movie before. This was they brought his Black Panther brought in a huge audience that probably would not have gone to a Marvel movie. I can vouch for that because I have 65, 70-year old, 70 plus year old relatives that went to see Black Panther and they'd never seen any Marvel movie.
yeah,
So he was iconic, and I will also say outside of the MCU was a great actor in other things. Like straight up a great actor in other things. Yeah, he's Jackie Robinson, really good in that. In 42, he played James Brown in Get On Up, really good in that. I mean, the man that he had so much ahead of him, and it was just kind of hurt to see our Black Panther, be taken away so quickly, and so out of the blue. And I do like the fact that was sort of honored in Wakanda Forever. Whether or not people like the fact that he wasn't recast, I like the fact that was honored and sort of dealt with in Wakanda Forever. So, what we on this day, let's celebrate the fact that we had him, for 40, 42, 43 years, and we got what we got, and you can't ask for much more than that. So, I think Chadwick Boseman, he's going to be legendary. Just one of those that we say just taken way too early, and we appreciate what he brought to the table. So Chadwick Boseman would have been 46 today. Moving on to some Marvel stuff. Speaking of Black Panther and everything, Wakanda Forever introduced Namor, the Talokan God King, if you will. A mutant with wings on his feet. His little Wingstop wings that keep him afloat.
Hmm.
And and he was awesome, like straight up. He's so awesome. In fact, Tina Huerta's his portrayal is so awesome that almost immediately people were like, "I need this dude in a movie ASAP." Right? I need this movie ASAP. I don't know. Did you see that? I saw that on social media a lot.
well, I didn't see it.
Well, people have been calling for. They're like, we need a Namor movie. Well, let's burst that bubble right now. Not gonna happen. At least not this Namor. Because there's a rights thing going on. You know how we haven't had a Hulk movie since Edward Norton's Hulk,
Yeah,
and remember I was saying the reason why we haven't is because there's a, it's not that Marvel doesn't have the right to use the character, they do. What they don't have the right to do is to make a movie starring the Hulk and then distribute it through Disney. If they distribute it, they have to go through, I believe it's Universal still, or it might be Paramount. It's one of the two. So that's why we only see Hulk show up in other things and not in his own movie. And Namor is unfortunately in a similar situation with Universal. They have the rights to distribute any movie that involves him as the main character. Um, so I mean, that sucks. Sucks for you if you want to see him just get his own movie or TV show or anything like that. Because according to Nate Moore, the producer of Wakanda Forever, they basically had to set up a special deal with Universal to be able to use him the way he did, down to the fact that they couldn't even put him in a poster by himself unless it was in a series of single character posters.
yeah,
So
and also they couldn't use his actual real name either.
yeah,
I heard about this. Yeah, they couldn't use his name, the Submariner. Like
yeah,
they had to
hmm
use Namor.
yeah. So look, I mean, Lottie, I know it would be cool to have him have his own movie, but you know, Hollywood's in the way, man. What I mean, what do you think?
I mean, there's enough. I can't be upset about it because hey, if you own the rights, you own the rights. You know, this is one thing that I'm just like, like I try not to get involved in anymore because a lot of people will be like, "Oh, but these people should do this," and I'm just like, it's like me telling you I should have the right to throw a party in your own house. You know,
Or more to
like
the point, people are like, "Oh man, they should just buy the rights back because Universal's totally just gonna sell their rights that for right now keeps getting them money when if they're gonna
exactly,
that's oh that's like when people be like, man, Sony should just give the rights back or sell the rights back to Marvel. That you do you think that's something that business wise that makes sense? I guess Colonel Sanders should sell back his secret recipe too, right? That's because you want
yeah.
Popeyes to use the secret recipe. It's not the way that works, man. It is.
Yeah, I should. Yeah, I should sell my house so you can build a pool around where
Yeah.
I'm at. Exactly. Just come on, guys. Like it's just that's why I'm like they found a way to do around it. Just be happy that they were able to do that because you could be in a moment where they could not have ever. This could be the a one shot and you never see him again. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just just know that he's going to be connected in the Black Panther universe or probably some other they might connect into another universe, but you just can't be in a solo movie.
Yeah.
It sucks for the Hulk. This one is like okay. Okay, yeah, the Hulk, yeah, that sucks donkey balls because the Hulk is that's like imagine if what's it called can't make a Flash movie. That's like if DC can't make a Flash movie,
Yeah.
not able. Hulk is like the third. Would you say like yeah? I'll say he's the third most popular.
Well,
Yeah,
he's definitely in the top five of that people know of Marvel
yeah,
Comics characters.
and
Yeah.
now him being able to make a movie because of that sucks. That really does suck.
Yeah, and
But this one,
it's gonna stay that way for a for until Universal or Paramount, whoever has the rights, gets in such financial trouble that they just gotta sell it. And even then,
yeah,
there's no guarantee that Disney will get it. So
yeah,
it's all contract stuff. So um,
because Sony can outbid them if they wanted to.
yeah, and actually and related to this, and this is semi related. I mentioned Spider Man. I just wanted to like I had a conversation with somebody on Twitter about the rights and everything like that. Not on this particular. It was talking about like Daredevil and Spider Man and getting them to cross over. And he was like, "Well, man, I just wish they would just I wish Marvel just had the rights." And I was like, I don't know. I think it's better that they don't have the rights. And I know that's a weird take for someone who's clearly a Marvel fanboy, but I actually am really glad that Disney and Marvel don't have the Spider-Man franchise.
I mean, we won't have the video games that we have right now. I mean, come on now.
I mean, we might have, because they would have licensed it out. Marvel doesn't make video games; they license it out. I say it's good that we don't have that Marvel doesn't have the Spider-Man license, because then we wouldn't have had Into the Spider-Verse,
Yeah.
or Venom, or, and whether or not you like it, Morbius, or Kraven the Hunter that they're making right now, or the Madam Web that they're making right now, or Spider-Man, Amazing Spider-Man 1 and 2, and on and on. Because if there weren't two competing studios doing their thing, there would have been one studio which wouldn't have had the money or the time to make those other movies. That's a blessing in disguise. Like, people need to understand, these rights being at Sony are good. That's a good thing. Whether or not you like the movie, we wouldn't be getting some of the stuff we get if Sony didn't have that. Like, didn't they do us an animated TV show or something like that? You think Disney Animation wasn't or Marvel wasn't going to do that? That's what I'm saying. Like, we need to, as much as we like Tom Holland being in the MCU, and I do, I also know that a bunch of the Spider-Man projects wouldn't have happened if Kevin Feige had to juggle them and the MCU stuff. Because if they, let's say they did make some of those Spider-Man things, what in the MCU now would you be okay with them not doing? Think of all the movies that have come out in the MCU. Which one of those movies would you sacrifice to get Amazing Spider-Man? Just pick one, because that's what you'd have to do. So, I mean, it's a good thing. It really is. This whole thing with Namor, it sucks, but I mean, at least they get to use him. That's what I say. So, anyway, well, I just really look forward to seeing him elsewhere. So, we'll keep an eye out on that. Continuing on with Black Panther 2: Wakanda Forever. It has crossed the $600 million mark, which, Ladi, remember we were talking about its box office and what it needed to get to be profitable. That's roughly three times its estimated production budget, which means it's officially into profit now. And as of today, it's at 678 million and climbing. Had a pretty good Thanksgiving weekend, 5-day holiday weekend, and it's 678 right now. And so, first of all, where do you think it's going to top out at?
Me personally, I think it might top out maybe around maybe a little under 800, probably like 750, 775.
I'm gonna bet 800 for this reason. By comparison, Thor: Love and Thunder ended its run at $760 million, which again, for Thor: Love and Thunder, that's it. It was profitable. Not much. It didn't make a huge amount of profit, but it did make its money back and then some on top of that. So made it a worthwhile venture for the studio. If let's assuming Wakanda Forever cost $200 million to make, 2.5.
It cost $250.
Was it $250? Even at $250, it's still profitable. I don't know if that. I actually don't know the real number, because I hadn't seen anyone give me an official number yet. But let's say if it is $250, it's still profitable now. But I think I thought it was closer to 200. What? Either way, I imagine it's going to top out around 800. Not because it couldn't do more, but because Avatar's coming out in a couple weeks, and so it's got it's got to the end of the year to make about 100. 100 and what I said 678. It's got about to make 125 million, and it can do that. Like it's got some pretty for what's going on with it. I was looking at the daily numbers for it. It's still making good money on the weekend. Like this was just in its second. I think I want to say its second weekend, and it made good money. And this coming next two, I think I had said before, weeks 3 and 4 were really where we tell what it's going to do. But I
It's the
imagine it.
third weekend. This third
Is
weekend.
this the third weekend? Oh well,
Because
then
it came out beginning of November.
it's let's see how many days are we in? So it is into day 18. Yeah, you're right. So it's day into day 18 as of today, or as of yesterday. So yeah, I mean, I think it can. I honestly think it can make 125 million by the end of this. Because I imagine they'll take it out of theaters by the start of January. I can't see why it wouldn't make that because it's still doing good.
They're actually pushing it until uh February. Like it's not. I saw that it may not come onto Disney Plus until like because of France.
Yeah. Well, I
They're
mean,
not going to put it on Disney
France, they're
Plus.
not. They're not even going to put it on Disney Plus in France until probably 2024, because of
Yeah, I know,
because of law.
but because of France, they're talking about it won't even be. They're going to push it back until I think they might not put it on Disney Plus until like March. So it might be out of theaters probably like end of January, beginning of February, and probably a month. It's just not going to be anywhere.
Right.
Because I read something about it that they're not going to put it because of because of France. They're not going to put it on Disney Plus at all until like a month after it's out of theaters, like
Right.
45 days or something out of theater.
I mean, which is all good because I feel like this is the sort of movie that people will finally be like, all right, I guess I'll check it out. I think that everyone's like, oh, everyone's gonna rush out to see Avatar, and they will. But there's a slightly different demographic that's gonna go to Wakanda Forever. There's a overlap, but like there's some people that don't give a crap about Avatar, but will want to see Black Panther. And we got Christmas coming up, so I think that the next 3 or 4 weeks, like towards the end of the year, it's got plenty of time to make 125 million. And I think that if it doesn't have a significant drop, if next weekend, it if next weekend it makes something like, $40 million, or not even 40, if it makes something like 25 mil or something like that domestically, if it makes 25 million domestically, I'm pretty sure that it'll be able to get to 800. I'm putting my money there, and it will be definitely profitable at that point. Is it? It's not. Look, it's not going to do Black Panther numbers, and I don't know that we ever think it was going to do Black Panther numbers. I feel
No.
like I was pretty sure that it wouldn't because there's several things going against it. But I mean, there's no doubt that this is a win. If anybody's trying to spin this as a loss, they're stupid or they've got an agenda. This
So
is a W.
so here's the one thing I do want to say though is that I think Disney needs to start tightening their belt a little bit when it comes to these movies because like I said, Black Panther is going to make its profit, but but when I look at the thing being like 250 million, I'm like, they could have dropped. Like did it need that extra 50 or even 75 million? You know what I mean? It's like it's because this is the conversation that's even going into Avatar 2, where we're hearing the budget is so large that James Cameron's scared to even officially say it. Like he said, they'll have to make 2 billion to break even.
Well,
Like
it's
Jesus.
well, I don't know if that's correct. They're talking about that the budget is 3 to 400 million, and so again, doing the math of three, 2.5 to 3 times the production budget to find out where the break even point is. If it's 400 million, you're talking about, you know, basically $1 billion. 400 million. You're basically talking about $1 billion to hit your break even point for Avatar, and that's not even counting. That it could be more, it could be less, but it certainly is. Having to make $1 billion outright just to get out of the red is a bit of a daunting task. So yeah, you're right about the budget thing. I think the problem with Marvel is that it is by nature needs that money for CG. There's no way around it unless they're going to do Falcon and the Winter Soldier again for every single movie. They need the money for the CG, and I mean that's just the cost of business. So you can tighten up your budget all you want to, but really what you need to do is tighten up them scripts. You tighten them scripts up so people want to show up. There you go. You solved
Yeah,
your
make the
problem.
movie
Yeah.
shorter. Make the movie
Well,
shorter
yeah,
because
and that is you're right. Making the movie shorter also helps because that means you get more showings. So that if for front loaded movies, more people will get, yes, there'll be more crowded theaters, but there'll be more showings so you can, squeeze in as much money as you can. But also, you need to make them must see movies. Just make them movies that people are like, I have to go see this. Everyone's saying I got to go see it. Make a great movie. There you go. I know it sounds easy, but that really is it. Because if you have to spend $200 million on something, make sure you make people want to go. So you get $800 million box office. There you go.
yeah.
Anyway, but big W, and good on them. I want to see where it ends up. Moving on to another Black Panther related thing. I can't believe 3 things in a row. This one was just something cool I saw on Twitter. It was someone he was using an AI art generator and to make a visualization of a prequel for Black Panther. It's called Bashanga, the first Black Panther. That's Bashanga, of course, being the Black Panther, the first one, who brought together all of the tribes of Wakanda to secure the Great Vibranium Mound. And so, if you look through the pictures, like I said, there's some AI generated art and everything in there. It's pretty dang cool looking, actually. It's sometimes it reminds me. I think I've said this before when we talked about that Spider-Man fan trailer we saw. That sometimes fans are just like they're so damn creative and they do cool stuff. They just do cool stuff like this, and just flipping through all of these just look kind of amazing, you know. Uh, different character. I like that they have Fastos showing up there, so that somehow the Eternals, one of the Eternals, was involved in forming Wakanda, as a nation. I think that's pretty cool. I don't know, Lottie, as you scroll through all of these things, what do you think? I mean, I think it looks awesome.
This is the type of like stuff that you go like, this shit is ridiculous. Like it's ridiculous. Like if they were going to do like a high budgeted like TV show, this should be it. I don't want this to be a movie. I would want this to be like a high budgeted TV show. Like
And I think
well,
that was the intention. But
like this will be ridiculous. And this is just one of the things that like this is what I would love to see. Like I'm looking at this and I'm just like, because of course I am African, and I'm working on characters that are connected to like African lore. To see this and to show like the like African, very very more grounded African backdrops, not the super like sci-fi versions, but it's also like epic African godlike. This would be like my shit. Like I will rush home from work and jump on my couch to load this up on Disney Plus. But unfortunately, probably will never get this. But it's a very very cool idea. That. Yeah, it's because I
yeah,
will.
as you scroll through the pictures, again, it's AI generated art, so there's some weirdnesses in some
Yeah, there's some
places.
wonkiness in some
Yeah, I
pictures.
mean,
Yeah,
but in general, it looks pretty dope. I mean, like I could see these, whoever being like the founder of the River Tribe or the founder of the Jabari or something like that. I mean, it just looks cool. And well, you're right, we'll never get it. But I mean, because I think there's literally no story to this except, oh, here's some cool warrior pictures or something like that. This is some previs or whatever. But man, if they could really, because we're getting that World of Wakanda show that Ryan Coogler is developing. Why not go back to this? There's actually, and in the comics they sort of done that too. Talking about the first Black Panther and everything like that. I would love to see someone actually sit down and figure out a treatment for this that we could get, something like that. There wouldn't need to be much, if any, CG, because there's no
Yeah.
futuristic sci-fi things. Nothing's flying around. It's literally, Stone Age or Iron Age or whatever
Yeah, the
technology.
only CG that you'll need is to like make the armor shine if like a godlike being showed up.
Or if and
You
it's,
know what I mean?
since Fastos is in it, maybe some of his little tech magic stuff going on, or maybe to kind of color grade some of the stuff as they go into the spirit realm or whatever. Make the heart shaped herb glow. That's about it. Like this could be that lower budget practical effect martial arts. You're paying to have a bunch of people in the same place at the same time and to build sets rather than putting a bunch of green screen up. So,
Yeah.
but we're not going to get this.
It pains me. It kind of hurts that you showed me this. I'm kind of mad at you now because
Well,
now I'm
you know
just
what?
like
Just like
thinking,
what you could do. Hey, the Restore the Snyderverse people, they made a lot of noise. Why can't we make a lot of noise? Because Kevin Feige does listen to us. I mean, he doesn't do what we want all the time, but he does listen to us, and I think it's clear that people have more and growing affection for Wakanda and that whole little corner of the universe because it's so different than everything else that's going on in the MCU. The only other place in the MCU that's sort of as different is like Shang-Chi. And Black Wakanda Forever introduced Talocan. That's so different from most of everything else we see in the MCU. So, I mean, I think it's pretty clear they should keep on mining that part of the MCU because there's nothing but gold there. There's a rich history of Wakanda that we only know, very little hints about. So it would be nice if they sort of took this as maybe a starting point. But we'll see. But that was really cool and good on this. I forget the person's name. Sean Harrison for doing this. Good on them. Enough Marvel stuff. Let's talk about some DC stuff. James Gunn, as we know, co-chairman, co-CEO of DC Studios. He is, it's kind of amazing to me. He's still doing Twitter. Like he's not busy just like coming up with mad scientist schemes for making the DCU kick ass. Or maybe he is doing that, but he has time to tweet. But he got on Twitter and was answering questions, and he basically, in a nutshell, confirmed that the DC Studios is going to be doing multimedia stuff that all connects. Not everything, obviously. There's some DC stuff that's going to be standalone, like the Batman or whatever. But that they're going to be looking to tie video games and animation and TV shows and movies into like the DC universe. Just kind of like the way Marvel is doing, except Marvel is not doing video games, and but they are tying the other stuff together. I think that this is a no-brainer, and I think that also if they're starting, at the very beginning to say that's what they're going to do, it makes all the sense in the world, and that they are, those two are the ones to do it. But Ladi, they're putting video games into this shit. What do you think about that? I know as the gamer.
man, I mean, as much as everybody just loves to slurp on the movie industry and look down on the video game industry, the movie industry is a twinkle in the eye of the gaming industry. And if you want to make money, you need to that's why so many people want to get into the video game industry. You have all of these characters that would be great video game characters. Of course, make a damn video game. I mean, of course. Like, real talk. I remember I got into a discussion when somebody was talking about uh Disney being purchased by, the rumor of Disney being purchased by Apple, and Microsoft might be getting blocked from buying Activision. And so some people are like, there's no way Disney can get bought by Apple. And I'm like, guys, Disney is not as big as y'all think it is. It's really not. The movie industry was nowhere near as big as it was in the 90s, in the 80s. The you know, Video games is a bigger form of entertainment by far. Microsoft is worth trillions of dollars. What's it called? Worth billions. And we're and that's what I was just saying. It's like, if you want to, you got to get your hands into this. Make and don't just like be like Disney, because I feel like Disney, they're one little thing that I think they need to improve on. Just don't license your characters out. Try to develop actual gaming studio that you can, because what's it called, has it. You know what I mean? That's one thing Warner Brothers has over Disney. They have their own gaming studio. They have Warner Brothers Gaming Studio, which is NetherRealm, all these, you know what I mean? They're getting money just from that. I think Disney should start going into that, because there's billions of dollars on the table. The simple fact that we don't have a Captain America video game.
It's coming. There's one coming. Remember that the
Yeah.
Black Panther Captain America game's coming.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm just saying, it's like it took this long, and the Wolverine game they're making is going to be for Sony.
Yeah, well, but the problem here is that the games don't have anything to do with the MCU. You just had that Guardians of the Galaxy game, nothing to do with the MCU. It's obviously inspired by the MCU, but has nothing to do with it. On the other hand, on WB side, they have that Suicide Squad Kills the Justice League game coming out. Obviously, it is inspired by the Suicide Squad movie, but it is not in the DCEU. And they're saying, James Gunn is saying, no, we're going to make games that are going to be related to the movies and the TV shows and the animation. Like, it's all going to work together. And that's a first. Like, I know they've had tie-in video games for Iron Man and Captain America, but they weren't really canon, right? And he's talking about these games are going to be canon to the DCU. And I think that that's interesting. Also, there's a lot of peril involved in that. A lot. Because how do you keep it all straight? But if they can keep it all straight, I think that, you're already saying video games are huge, right? Huge video games that then cross over into an animated thing, which is something that doesn't make as much money, but maybe they make it more important by making it tie into the DC universe. So I think hell yeah, go for it. I'm not going to go buy the video games because I'm cheap, but I like the idea that, everything's on the table here. And it tells me that they're hella serious about getting DC together. I think we already knew that, because as I was like, that's a lot of money. That's our big money maker. We need to be exploiting it. And the fact that they're just like, sure, do all of that stuff is that's encouraging to me about the way DC is going forward. So I think, Ladi, for you're just gonna be like, hell yeah, give me a good video game to play.
Yeah.
With some superheroes in it. Make it actually good. So anyway, we'll keep an eye on that. We'll let you guys know more about that when they release more information. So let's talk about last news item. And this is the trash take of the week. A gigantic L. Such a big L that the person that posted this, this is, I guess, two people. One of the people that posted it deleted the tweet because James Gunn added him. So here's the thing: when people go on social media and they see something posted by a famous person and they want to get in there and talk some shit, right? And then they're like, oh shit, the famous person, tweeted back to me, and then suddenly they get ratioed and everything like that. But this dude deserved it. So the context of this is the Guardian of the Galaxy holiday special came out. There's a scene in there. I'm going to spoil it for you, Ladi, because you haven't seen it, but it doesn't matter. It's at the very end of the movie, and it's kind of a bit of a gag. The gag is that Nebula gives Rocket as a Christmas present Bucky's arm. You remember from Infinity War? He's like, I want that arm. He's like, I'm getting that arm, right? And she gives him the arm. That's the joke. That's a joke. It's a fun little thing. But someone was like, what? How did she get the arm? And James Gunn answered, oh, she went there and tore it off of Bucky and then brought it out because she was feeling Christmassy. And then the response was, there's no way she could have done that. She couldn't have gone and beaten up Bucky and taken his arm. And now you're just this woke inclusion, and I hate it. So that's the trash take. The trash take is they called it forced inclusion, which I don't even know what. I mean, I suppose that means you're forcing the inclusion of other people who aren't just straight white dudes, which I would call that. Foisting straight white dudes on everybody is forced inclusion of them. And there's an awful lot of that shit that goes on all the fucking time in everything. But that's their take. So Ladi, forced inclusion, that to say that Nebula went and beat up Bucky and took his arm. It's hard for me to even respond to that reasonably. So what do you think?
Clearly a joke. I didn't even need an explanation. It'd just be like, oh, okay, cool. Oh, so she went down and took his arm? Like, he obviously was joking.
Yeah,
But
let's say he was serious. Like, this is the scenario. Bucky has an arm that Rocket wants. Nebula has a spaceship and the means and the wherewithal to go get it. They meet on a battlefield. Prepared, unprepared, whatever the fuck. Let's be clear here. Nebula is superpowered. She's superpowered, right? And I hear people like, but Bucky's got the super soldier serum and he fought Cap and everything. I guarantee you, Gamora would beat Cap's ass. Can we agree on that? That she would
alien.
She would beat his ass. And
it's like a regular human guy fighting a half giant woman. What do you think's gonna happen?
I'm being complete. Like, if we're taking this seriously, which is this person took it way too fucking seriously. Besides the fact that they were on that woke, anti-woke bullshit. Beyond that, let's do a nerd fight here. A nerd fight. Nebula versus Bucky. Is Bucky anything more than a peak human strength? Super soldier strength.
Yeah.
Is he any more than that? No, he's not. He's got a Wakandan arm. Cool. And he's fighting Nebula, who is not only an alien with, physically speaking, already has pretty good power. She's also cybernetically enhanced. She's one of the most dangerous people in the galaxy.
Didn't she blow through a fucking wall with just her punch in one of these movies? I can't remember. I remember there was a part where she punched through a wall with a bunch of rubble. You know what I mean?
Well, I'm just saying, let's keep in mind that she was one of Thanos' top fighters, one of her top killers. She was one of his top people, even though he acted like he didn't respect. She's cybernetically enhanced with alien technology. No, she'd fucking kill Bucky Barnes if she wanted to. Let's not pretend like that's not what's going on. So if she wanted the fucking arm, she'd get it. Because what is he gonna do? He's literally think, is there anybody else on Earth that isn't that's like not the Hulk that couldn't just get their ass kicked by Nebula? I'll give you
Was
know
it because if I remember right, because I'm trying to remember. If I remember right, in Endgame, the the Nebula that hasn't been reformed was whooping everyone's ass until the reformed Nebula killed her. If I remember right, remember when she was coming to get the gauntlet?
yeah,
She was
yeah.
whooping everyone's ass. She was
That
whooping all their ass.
this is what happens to your brain when you get hung up on this anti woke bullshit. You can't even do simple comic book math. That's what this is. This is comic book. This is easy. It's easy comic book math. Every comic book nerd worth a damn is always keeping in mind the relative strengths and weaknesses of every character that's on screen, so you know what probably is going to happen. And if you think that Bucky versus Nebula ends with him winning, you're a fucking idiot. You are. There's no way. It's absolutely, he couldn't beat, Black Panther would beat Bucky's ass. T'Challa would beat his ass. We saw it, right? He wasn't he wasn't pulling his punches. He was kicking his ass, right?
I mean,
I'm
it,
just saying, like, if he
I
wanted
mean,
to.
Bucky is strong, but he's not even peak. Because I don't even really want to say Bucky's even human peak human because Captain America's peak human and has outpowered Bucky on multiple occasions.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think Bucky's like stronger than like he's ultra athlete plus in my opinion. He's
Well,
not peak human.
let's just say he's hovering around that peak human area. Like
Yeah, he's
if
like underneath.
yeah,
He's underneath Cap and clearly he's underneath Cap and what's his name? Because Cap and T'Challa were like they're like not just peak human. They're almost at the realm of superhuman strength because of the stuff that we've seen them do in the MCU.
right.
You know what I mean?
Well, and I think it's pretty clear that from Wakanda Forever that heart shaped herb hooks you up because Shuri don't look like she could lift anything, and she was going ham on Namor. You
I
know?
mean, look, we saw Cap. Cap was able to withstand punches from Thanos. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah.
it's
I mean, but
just-
so I mean, I'm just saying, like, let's just be real here. Let's be real as comic book fans. Don't let this anti-woke bullshit scramble your brains. Nebula, the only reason why you might think she ain't that good is because she's been fighting fucking Gamora, and Gamora is the truth. She's the real deal. You face Gamora up against the Hulk, I give her some good odds. I'm not saying she'd win, but I'm telling you, if she fought She-Hulk, if she fought Jennifer Walters hulked up, she'd beat the shit out of her. Straight up. Like I think there's no doubt. There aren't too many
plus,
people.
and plus, the what's it called? And plus, here's the thing: the movies kind of do the characters a little disservice because they're based in realism. They can only get a female actress. So, because in the comic books, Gamora and damn, I just forgot her name. Just Nebula are huge. Like in the video game.
The thing is that they look
compared to regular women, they're like if Gamora if her height in the comic book, I'll say Gamora's like 6'4", 6'5". Like she's taller than like in the video game, in the Guardians of the Galaxy video game, she's definitely taller than what's his name?
right.
Chris. Well, that's the actor. But she's taller than what's his name?
Star-Lord.
Star-Lord. Like they're big women. You know what I mean? There's only so many women like that on the planet, and most of them are not actors and actresses. I mean, are not actresses. And the ones that are, they're busy doing Game of Thrones and stuff like that. You know what I mean?
It's like I said, and James Gunn kind of like snapped back about it. He kind of was just like, oh, was that's forced inclusion of androids or whatever. It's just silliness. Like, just get out of here. I mean, this whole, you
Can
know,
Android 18 be Vegeta?
well, I'm just saying this whole dudes with, like, you know, that get their panties twisted up because a woman might beat a man at something. There's a fucking news flash to you. She's an alien, so your expectations of what a woman, an alien woman, can do need to fucking go out the window. Like, just shut up. How about that? Just shut up with your foolishness and your weak ass, you know, thin skin, insecure in your manhood bullshit. If if an alien woman makes you feel bad like that, you need to examine yourself. Just saying. Anyway, trash take of the week. So anyway, that's all of our news for this week. I'm sure we missed some things. A lot of things are going on in the world of superhero things, but maybe you have something to say about what we were talking about. Just get down to the comment section, let us know your thoughts. And of course, you can always hit us up, supernotfunnyshow@gmail.com or at supernotfunnys1 on Twitter. All right, even though this feels like it's running long, we still do have one segment left, and that is ranking the Phase 4 TV shows and specials. And I went and typed all these out, and I was like, man, that's a lot. It's actually been a lot of stuff going on in the TV space over the last 2 years. So I figured we'll do like we did with ranking the movies. We'll start from the bottom, and we'll work our way up to the best of them all. So as a reminder, Ladi, what we have to choose from is Wanda, and this is in order of appearance: WandaVision, Falcon and the Winter Soldier, Loki, What If, Hawkeye, Moon Knight, Miss Marvel, She-Hulk, Werewolf by Night, and Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special. So let's see how fast we can make this happen. So let's start at the least, the one that we like the least.
So this is nothing against this show, but in the grand scheme of things, it was just not as good as the other ones. So I just feel like at the bottom is She-Hulk. Nothing against it. It's just in the grand scheme of these other TV shows, I put it at the bottom.
I don't disagree with you. I thought about this one too, and I was like, I really like this show, but it was more, it was more up and down than the other ones were. One or two fewer episodes, a little tighter writing. I think it could have been much higher than this, but yeah, I think She-Hulk is down there at the last place. So what's the next least good? And I'm not saying worse, because I want to say I liked every one of these things. Call me a Marvel shield or whatever you want to call it. I liked every one of these things. Just some not as much as others. So,
my next one. I know what two, but I don't know which one I will put there. I want to say, well, me personally, I think the next one that I will put is Miss Marvel. And the only reason why I put it over the other one I feel like it will be next. Well, I'll tell you my next two. It'll be Miss Marvel and Hawkeye. The only reason why I put a Hawkeye above Miss Marvel, because you know how much I love that actress. You already know, like, I love her.
Yeah, Florence Pugh.
Yeah. So that is really, but when it comes to the grand scheme of the shows that came out, I feel like those two are what I will put like this second and third to last.
I'm gonna go ahead and say Hawkeye next, because even though, again, I really like the show, it didn't do a lot.
It did.
Besides more or less setting up a couple of, it set up Thunderbolts, mostly, and it set up Daredevil pretty much. It set up Echo, but as far as the story it was actually telling, it was fun. Wasn't extremely important. So I'm gonna say Hawkeye is the next to last one, as a compromise between us. I don't agree with you at all about Miss Marvel. I'm just gonna say straight up, I don't agree about that at all. But in deference to you, for yours, it's gonna be Miss Marvel, third to last. But for me, that's not where my third to last one is. I would say that's going much further up for me. Probably for me after that, I'm gonna say Moon Knight. For the third for me. And it's only because, I will say this: I think Moon Knight's great, except the ending. Except the ending. The ending of it was ridiculously, like, it was so by the numbers and like did a disservice to the rest of the show that I just like I have to drop it down that low just because of that ending.
Yeah, Moon Knight is higher for me, but I do completely agree that the final two. I feel like Moon Knight needed an extra episode. I feel like it. We were just talking about She-Hulk needed to be cut down. Moon Knight needed an extra episode. Like, I feel like they just rushed the end, and then it was just so like, why did you do a kaiju fight?
Yeah, it was just silly to me.
It was, yeah,
It did a disservice to what the rest of the show was doing. Really cool things, really
yeah,
interesting things, and it just like sort of dropped the ball. And that's actually, to me, that's sort of a theme amongst the shows, is
the
that
Marvel TV shows,
sort of dropping the ball at the very end. Unfortunately. So I said, yeah, Moon Knight for me for third from the bottom. Miss Marvel for you. I'm going to say right after that, this is a toss-up for me between the Guardians Holiday Special and What If. And again, nothing against either of them. It's mostly because, for me, I'll say the Guardians one, and it's mostly because it's a throwaway story. It's good, it's fun, it's interesting. It's kind of a throwaway story that doesn't do much. I mean, it maybe sets up Guardians of the Galaxy 3, Volume 3 a bit, but only just so. It's very much a throwaway story. And like I said, What If for me is kind of in the middle for me. And it's not because I don't like it or anything like that. It's really because it's somewhat disconnected from the MCU proper. It's like we're getting to see things that didn't work out the way they are, and because we're in the multiverse saga right now, it's cool and interesting. And they even managed to make like the finale really awesome. But the fact that it's disconnected is part of the reason why. And because it's an anthology, so some of the stories are less good than others. There are some really great MCU stories in there, and there's some really whatever MCU stories in there. And it's kind of, so the fact that it's uneven because of it's an anthology, that doesn't help in my eye. Where would you put it?
You sure you want to know?
You gonna put it at number one?
Yes, it was number one. I loved What If. I do agree. The final episode, in my opinion, they nerfed the hell out of. They turned it into a pew pew match, which I didn't care for that much. But every other episode leading up to that was just so fucking good for me. Like, it scratched an itch. Like, I've been having this conversation with my friend who's a super anime like buff. Like, he thinks anime can't do wrong. And I'm trying to tell him that American animation is coming for anime's throat, and he doesn't want to believe me. And What If is one of those shows that I'm just like, guys, I'm just be honest. I'd rather watch shows like Invincible, Vox Machina, Arcane, and What If than a lot of the anime that's out right now. And What If is, like I said, there's this animation scratch itch that I've haven't had scratched in a while, and it did it for me, and I loved it. Just like I said, the final episode, I wish they would have, because here what makes the final episode, in my opinion, not that good, because you showed it. It's not like it was up to our imagination of what's I mean not Vision, Ultron will do with the six Infinity Stones. You literally showed it the episode prior, so why did you nerf him the next episode?
Right.
It
Yeah.
just ugh.
It was, but I think it's a fun. I love that they're doing a second season of it. I like it's totally deserved. I think people slept on it. I still think it's probably like around the middle of phase 4 TV shows.
Yeah.
Above that one, let's see. So we got leftover. So for me, what if's there? It's at the top for you. So we still got.
I will put for where I will put where What If should have been. I will put probably. I'll probably put Werewolf by Night. Werewolf by Night was like the middle for me.
Yeah, for Werewolf by Night for the next one. And the thing is, I'm gonna say that for me, it's around the same place. Like I was gonna say Werewolf by Night next. So the bottom is She-Hulk, then Hawkeye, then for me it's Moon Knight, Guardians special, What If, and then Werewolf by Night. But you would do She-Hulk, Hawkeye, Miss Marvel, the Guardians special, and then Werewolf by Night. So what would you do above Werewolf by Night?
I will do I probably
So for you,
I think I'll do WandaVision. I think I'll do WandaVision over that, yes.
Over Werewolf by Night.
Yes.
And I'm putting that further up for me. So we'll get back to that when we get up there. So after WandaVision, and for me it's Werewolf by Night. What's the next one? Would you say?
I'll say right where it's at. I'll put Moon Knight. Moon Knight is right where I believe this where it should be. Like it loved Moon Knight so much, but that final episode just it disappointed me so much. It could have been number one, man.
Right.
It took so much. Like the final episode, I forgot about it until you mentioned it. And I was like, oh my God, I forgot how cringy the final episode was.
Yeah. It still sticks with me.
It's just cheat. It completely, I wiped it from my brain. Completely wiped it.
For me, at this point, because now we're in the top 4 basically. And you've already said your number 1 is What If. For me, I think Falcon and Winter Soldier is at this spot. And only just so. It's only just so. I think it did some things more interestingly than Loki did, but I think Loki is such a crazy, far, reaching story, and it did so much that I have to put it above. So for me, it's Falcon and Winter Soldier. So where would you put? So now we're into the top 4, I guess you'd say, or because you already put WandaVision down. Yeah, we're in the top 3 now. So what are your top 3? What's your number 3 one?
My number 3 is Falcon and Winter Soldier.
I'm not surprised by that. I think we're fairly close, and I think we've only kind of switched them around only slightly. You put WandaVision further down than I would have.
But I loved Falcon and the Winter Soldier, man. It's something that I think Marvel needs to get back to. Doing more grounded stuff. I really think that's like something that Marvel really needs to start getting back to, because like they hit it out the park with their grounded movies with Captain America, Winter Soldier, and Civil War. I really think Marvel needs to start getting back to their grounded storylines and start doing this a lot more, doing more espionage, military spy, like stuff like this. I really hope that Kevin Feige is like taking this part of the Marvel world more seriously, the grounded, more street level things, you know.
Yeah. Well, and I really appreciate it. I just that final the final episode again, it's kind of hampers the series a bit. It's
Yeah,
a bit ham fisted in some places. It's got some cool stuff in it, but it's a bit ham fisted in some places. And so I can't get it higher than number four. But I
I
did
just
really
didn't like how they just the thing that I just didn't like is how they went from this chick bombed a bunch of people to like she's a victim. Oh God.
well. I mean, the thing is that's another thing. The handling of the Flag Smashers was stupid in some ways.
Yes.
It kind of pissed me off, but it's just because they didn't want to handle really tough like issues. I think. Uh,
Yeah.
so, so we had at number three, we had Falcon and Winter Soldier for you. Loki for me. Loki is there. It's not higher because, to me, the problem with it being high, not being number two or number one, is because it had some kind of hit or miss, a little bit of slowness and some hit or miss things going on. Where it excelled was doing a bunch of cool things with the multiverse. Like the TVA is awesome. Like the relationship between Mobius and Loki, as Loki sort of he's grappling with himself and his own understanding of himself. I love that. I think Renslayer, she's underutilized, unfortunately. But the whole thing with Sylvie was cool, and then seeing the multiple Lokis. I mean, there's a lot of cool shit going on in this show, and the finale is a bit understated. I mean, it's not pew pew. It really isn't. Yeah.
Let's just be honest. It was, in my opinion, the best Marvel TV show finale. It broke the internet. I've never seen so many people with a Nandata moment after, like, literally I was scrolling through uh uh Twitter and people are like, wait, what just happened? Nani?
Right. Yeah, I mean, I think the without having to do the lasers and everything, just people sitting down and talking, and you know, the universe changing forever as a result of that conversation. I mean, it's good. I like that ending. Um, and so, but I would just wish some of the other aspects of the show were a little bit better. That's why it's number three for me. Um, where is it for you?
Number two.
Number
I
so
put it, the Loki is number two in my opinion, just because I agree that there were parts of the show that were kind of boring, but I have to put it as that number two because without the TV show Loki, we wouldn't have gotten the number one movie in Phase 4, in my opinion, which is Spider-Man: No Way Home, and it opened up what is going to be an absolute Marvel comic book orgy, if you will, in the future with Kang Dynasty and Secret Wars. I mean, that Karen is the reason
Space
we're
Karen.
about to Space Karen is the reason why we are literally about to get a comic book orgy, because this literally is.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how they're gonna do it. I can't imagine how big that damn fucking movie production budget's gonna be. Jesus, I think that thing might be in the 500 million, boy. Whew.
Well,
But
yeah, it's gonna be. Yeah, I mean, it's just very wide reaching. I mean, let's just be honest. It had a lot of implications, more than probably any one scene has had in any Marvel thing up to then. So, uh, I don't necessarily disagree with you. I have WandaVision as number two. It's number two because for me, it did a lot. It did a lot to sort of it set the tone for the idea that a lot of different things could happen in the MCU. that didn't necessarily get followed up on in the first year. Because a lot of the rest of Loki is kind of out of the box, but Falcon and Winter Soldier and Hawkeye are very conventional things. Even Miss Marvel to a point, but it kind of showed that hey, we can do a lot of different things with this TV show, and it was crazy. It's weird. It's got going through all these sitcom things. It's very strange. It's off-putting and so like I remember there was a creep factor to it that's really present. You're just like, what's actually happening here? There's all this stuff going on. The only thing a problem with it is, to me, they build up this cool bad guy, and then they just have a Marvel pew pew ending, and the fact that it ends like that is annoying. But man, the rest of the show is so cool and interesting, and it sets up Multiverse of Madness so well. That I think it's something I could watch again and just be like, yeah, this really works. So that's why it's number 2 for me. And I know it's further down for you because why?
Oh, WandaVision was further down for me. It's not because I didn't like WandaVision. It's just when it comes to from what I was liking, WandaVision, it didn't truly start intriguing me until later in the show. And then towards the end, I didn't like the final episode. I did like the parts where the Vision started figuring out certain stuff. It's just when it comes to what I had in my top with, you know, Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I mean, Moon Knight, Falcon and Winter Soldier, all that stuff. Those are stuff that was like my personal shit. Like I'm into like horror stuff with Moon Knight, and of course, Falcon and Winter Soldier. I love espionage, action, military like movies, sort of like that. So those were scratching a personal itch that was like making me like super invested into it. You know what I mean? And that's why like I said, the finale of WandaVision kind of threw me off a little bit.
Yeah, it wasn't good.
And then the whole part of they don't know what you sacrificed. Oh Jesus!
Yeah,
Don't.
I love that they got Tiana Paris, they got her Monica Rambeau to be powered up and everything, and they talked about the blip. There's stuff in there that's really good. It's just that at the end of the day, her reaction to it is bad, and then we see what actually is going on in her head and Multiverse of Madness. So, but I still think it's really good. Which leads us to number 1. We talked about What If and why you liked it as number 1. So I'm going to talk about why Miss Marvel is my number 1 Phase 4 TV show. Does it have? It has a. We'll talk about the weakness of it. It has a Marvel ending. Let's just be fair. It had a Marvel ending, right?
Yeah.
But it wasn't a Marvel ending that felt unearned, and it didn't feel like all of the pew pew fighting and everything like that made sense within the story. They built up to it properly. When they had this Marvel ending, it was built up to properly. Everything that was happening in there was set up properly, and also it was in line to me with the fact that it's just a bunch of teenagers kind of dealing with some ridiculous stuff from the government. Let's talk about the fact that Iman Vellani as Kamala Khan is charming as shit. Her family is the best. There's not just that the representation is there, it's good and interesting, and I feel like I learned something. There's some history going on in there. It's mysticism. There's all sorts of stuff that's going on. It's calling back to things from like Iron Man 1. It's calling back, we're getting callbacks. And also because, damn it, Kamala Khan is us. She's a huge old superhero fan. And just her outlook on life and how positive, not just positive, she's absolutely happy to have these powers and everything. She's leaning into it. And she's got a great cast of characters around her. Her family's great. Her friends are great. The villains suck in this. Let's call it like it is. The villains are not good. But it doesn't really matter because learning about Kamala's family history is so damn interesting, and seeing her family is so interesting, and seeing her kind of glow up. I mean, I just wanted more of that. I want a second season of this. It's. I know a show's good if I'm like, where the hell is that second season, and why haven't you announced it? Damn it. And we know why, because she's gonna be in the Marvels, but it hit in every possible way for me, even with the Marvelisms and kind of the shitty bad guys. I still absolutely enjoy the hell out of it. So that's why it's my number one. And I understand it didn't hit you the same way because it's way down on the other end of the list for you. But it was right exactly what I wanted. And
Yeah.
I remember I told you at the start of the year, I was like, that's my most anticipated Marvel thing of the whole year. I said, remember, I kept saying that all year.
Yeah.
And it's number one for a reason, because it did exactly what it was supposed to for me. So, we took a bit of time with that, but there's our list. So let's, for Ladi's list, his ranking is starting from the top. What If, Loki, Falcon and Winter Soldier, Moon Knight, WandaVision, Werewolf by Night, Guardians Special, Miss Marvel, Hawkeye, and She-Hulk. And for me, it's going to be Miss Marvel, WandaVision, Loki, Falcon and Winter Soldier, Werewolf by Night, What If, the Guardians Holiday Special, Moon Knight, Hawkeye, and She-Hulk. So those are the definitive lists. If there's anybody else that has something different, ignore them because they're wrong. So, so that's it. That's it for the show. But what you guys agree with us? Not agree with us? Let us know. Get down to the comments section, or of course hit us up, supernotfunnyshow@gmail.com, or at supernotfunnys1 on Twitter. And do us a favor, get down there, hit the like, hit the subscribe button, the notification bell, all that good stuff helps us with the algorithms so more people see this podcast. And of course, I always need help to make this thing happen over here at the Supercast. So, Ladi, can you tell them how they can reach you on your social media?
Oh yeah, you can always find me on my Instagram, which is Anu Kinihun. It's spelled ANUKINIHUN. Again, it's ANUKINIHUN. And of course, my YouTube channel, which is Kinihun25. It's been a while since I've put up some gameplay because I've been playing God of War off stream. You guys wouldn't probably want to see me stream that game because I play that game very sporadically. So you just be patient. I'm almost done with the game, and I'll be back to streaming Sonic Frontiers, and I just found out Costello Protocol comes out freaking Friday. I thought I had more time. Damn.
Nope.
But sheesh. But just be patient with me. I'll start getting more and more gameplay on my YouTube channel, which is actually growing because I start putting up shorts, which for some odd reason people love. I don't know. Yes.
I always think about, can we do shorts here? I'm like, nah, we don't short anything. We don't do anything short around here. So anyway, you guys go show Ladi some love on his socials. That'd be cool. All right, all you Fabricants and Fleshbags, thanks for joining us. This is the episode 78 of the Supercast. Come back next week. We got episode 79 and more news, more superhero stuff. It'll be a good time. Till then, I've been Mo de Poupée, your resident fabricant and comic extraordinaire on all things pop culture, joined by the anime expert, video game designer, lover of all things superhero, my good friend Ladi. We'll see you guys on the other side of the thread. Peace.
Peace.